Beep. Alright, I'm back again. First video in a long time. I'm kind of having a hankering to do videos again a little bit. YouTube videos. I usually don't feel like I have an idea or something like that, or I just don't have any urge to. It kind of goes in cycles. And I haven't felt the urge in a long time, but kind of feeling the urge again. And I have about 5 ideas. None really just jumping out at me too much. I want to do one on China. Yes, the topic of the country of China. A lot of thoughts about that. And probably not what you think. I'm a hard right-winger politically. Yet, I don't think China is the great problem in the world. In fact, I think they're kind of the future. Could be wrong, but that's kind of what I'm seeing there. I think China's kind of going to take over. For a lot of reasons, but that's that video. This video, I'm going to pause it because the video here, this is Microsoft's campaign overview, so I don't think it would be copyrighted or anything. This video is about Halo Infinite, which I just played and finished not too long ago. It took me a couple of weeks. I took my leisure, of course. And what I thought in my review. Now, I'm probably going to have kind of a hard time reviewing it because I don't know. A lot of times in my life, I just have really kind of blasé opinions. Like I see the world, like so many people are like, oh, I hate this. I love this. And a lot of times I feel like I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I'm supposed to feel strongly about issue X, but I don't really, not that I don't care, I don't know, I see politicians, for example, they always have like a strong position on something. It's just like, I don't know, I wouldn't be convinced this is the right way or that's the right way half the time. But anyways, so reviews. So this is going to be kind of like a wishy-washy review. I can't sit there and tell you I loved Halo Infinite. I definitely can't sit there and tell you I hated it. It's somewhere in the middle. Probably more towards the like/love side. But yeah, I didn't just love it or either. So what did I think of Halo Infinite? And let me talk a whole bunch about it. Probably another 30-minute video. I don't think any videos, except unless I'm like a flashpoint topic, really gets much views on my channel. But anyways, my channel does surprisingly, like I say, well. But I get these like updates. YouTube emails me and they'll tell me how many like views and stuff I got, and I get like, I don't know. I think I had like 20,000 views last month or something, and I haven't even updated the channel in forever. Granted, I don't care, and granted, 20,000 views isn't anything. But anyways. And most of my views come on certain like hot button videos, like a certain gun review, because people are searching for that gun, and I had a review of it, that kind of thing. But anyways, Halo Infinite, just completed it. Now there's gonna be like, I guess, spoilers in this video. I don't have my own gameplay. I'm not sure how I would do that, and I'm too lazy. I believe you can record on the Xbox itself up to like an hour. So I could have, I guess, done that, and it would have been cool, but I probably won't. Well, I definitely won't since I've already started this video. You just have to look at this brute guy coming at you and imagine that. I would just let this gameplay video run, but it's only 6 minutes long. I guess I could just keep rewinding it. Anyways, to the game, like I said, big time spoilers, or I'm going to talk about how the game is. I would describe it best as, it's totally different from other Halo games, which I barely even remember. Like, I barely even remember Halo 5 anymore. To be honest, like, a lot of my gaming life and history, it's like, I say I'm a big Halo fan and a big Gears of War fan. That's why I like Xbox. But am I really anymore? I don't know. I didn't really love Halo 5 at all. The last Halo I honestly loved was the original Combat Evolved. That was amazing. And even that, I have to say, looking back on it, there was a point where I was just completely enamored with that game and infatuated with it. And I was just I remember just thinking about it all the time. Like I had a little part-time job, and I would just be thinking about it at the job. Like, it's just so fun, just so like, it was unbelievable. But even that, I remember, kind of wore off towards the end. Like it got a little less amazing. Like that was maybe like halfway through that I was just like thinking about it 24/7 and stuff. It kind of wore off a little, even that game. So I can't even say the original Halo was like a complete 10 out of 10 or something. It was like amazing for sure at a certain point, but it kind of wore a little thin by the end, I would say, if I remember correctly. So even the first one wasn't a slam dunk, and out of all of them, I would say only the first one did I really love. All I do is play the campaigns. Never played the multiplayer really. I never got into multiplayer at all until I played in the Destiny multiplayer a lot. Got into that a lot. And so from that framework, I played some of the Halo multiplayer with the beta and everything. It's okay, but I have a hard time with it. I'm not very good. And I just feel like, like in Destiny multiplayer, I know everything about it. I know like you can practically dedicate your life to learning every little trick and tip in Destiny multiplayer. And I know all the ins and outs of it, all the systems, everything. I got the best gear. I'm still not very good, but but Halo, I don't know any of that stuff really. I don't even hardly understand how it works half the time. Like I understand there's some sort of deal where you're supposed to like pop their shields and then hit them in the head and it kills them really fast. Like there's a whole like shield, like the shields are separate from everything else, and it's like once you pop the shield they go down easy. But I don't really understand all that and what like weapon combos to use and whatnot to maximize that effect. I don't know all that stuff, and I played a fair amount of Infinite and I did okay. You'd think coming from Destiny I would be okay, but I looked and my KD was 0.7 something, like 0.73. That's terrible. And I don't feel like I can get better. Not only that, but like that was in the beta. So now people have only gotten like 100 times better. All these people have just been playing the game since launch and not stopping. And here I haven't played it in a long time, So I know I go back in, I'm just going to get throttled by, 50 people who just live the game. So it kind of just kills my urge to even play the game as far as multiplayer. And like I said, I don't really understand the weapon systems. Like, what weapons should I be going for? Half of them I kind of hate. So anyways, so onto the Infinite. I'll just talk about the camp. So that's the multiplayer part. I haven't really touched it since the beta, and I just played that in the beta because there's only the campaign wasn't out yet. So for the campaign, it's kind of open world, and on a podcast I listened to, they mentioned it being open world light, and I would totally agree with that, I guess. And I do like that. I think that's a good choice. I really liked it. All I hear I've never really played like these long Assassin's Creed games, or I guess Ubisoft games. I'm always hearing about how they're like really long. They have a ton of open world padding, and they run like hours and hours. I mean, like hundreds of hours probably to do everything, and they're just full of filler and padding. And it also they have a certain like formula, I guess, that all these Ubisoft games do, like Far Cry, Assassin's Creed. They're kind of all the same apparently. All that, so that all like sounds terrible to me. I don't play either Far Cry or Assassin's Creed. But so I don't have really a frame of reference to compare, but it seems like from what I can tell, the Halo Infinite is like open world light, and I think that's a great choice. I think it worked well. So to basically describe it, you've got an open world map. You start off with some linear missions, and if I could complain about the linear missions, they look very much the same. Like you're always in some kind of ship or interior cramped space for the most part, and you're looking at like blue and gray backgrounds, and I just get so tired of that. Like, where's the creativity in backgrounds? Where's, I know it's Halo, and it's always had a lot of blue shit backgrounds, but I don't care. Do something different, I would say that's a problem I feel like with all the whole Halo thing. It's like they're so tied to their past. Like they have to have this, they have to have that because it was in the past game. So what? Get rid of some of that garbage. Like they bring back the same Banshee, the same ghost ship, the same all the enemy ships, planes, whatever you call them, vehicles. It's all so they got the same stuff that was back in Halo 1. They're all ugly, if you ask me. The models in the Halo sword. Now, this is the one I know they would never change. Is the stupid Halo sword. It's like a double-edged sword. It looks ugly to me. It looks so ugly. It's so ugly. It's so ugly. It's so brutish looking. It doesn't matter how much our graphics advance so that they make it translucent now and it kind of looks cool. It's ugly. Like, make some kind of cool flaming sword, okay? With only one edge, okay? Like a real sword, or it can be double edged, doesn't matter, but without that stupid, like, double handle thingy they got going on. The stupid, like, double blade that looks like it would be completely impractical. Like, but they will never do that because, oh, the sword, oh, it's iconic, blah, blah. Give me a break. And okay, even if they gotta keep the sword, which I would get rid of like 80% of these weapons, man. There's so many weapons in this game that are useless. Yeah, it's gotten so big and bloated. It's so, like, there's so many weapons in the game, and 80% of them are like doing the same things, and they're just useless. Get rid of a lot of them. Like the old plasma pistol, okay? It's like the most useless gun in the game that the enemy grunts carry around, the little plasma peep shooter. Get rid of it. It's ugly. It sucks. No one wants to play with that. Get rid of it, okay? But it's Halo, so they feel like they gotta have everything from the beginning of time in their game, and all they do is add. So they add this, they add that, but they never get rid of anything, so you end up with like a really bloated game. Those are criticisms I have. Like I think like the Banshee is so ugly, so not fun to fly. Get rid of it. There's no reason that you can't just say like, okay, now the enemy has a new ship or whatever. You don't have to go back to the beginning of time with the damn crap just because it was in Halo 1. I'm tired of it. And it's ugly. Like I said, aesthetics is just a lot of it. Like so much of it's not pretty. It's ugly. The sword is ugly, the Banshee is ugly, the Ghost is ugly, the chopper that the brutes drive is kinda ugly. That's all ugly. I wouldn't say like the UNSC designs are ugly. I'm not gonna say the Warthog's ugly or the Wasp ship is ugly. But the Ghost, the Covenant stuff is ugly. The Needler's ugly. I can even see keeping the Needler because that's interesting. I hate it. It's freaking annoying to use and it's underpowered for most jobs except taking out hunters. But at least I get the Needler looks kind of interesting. But like the plasma pistol, it's also ugly and that's a big problem I have with Halo, the franchise in the game. It's like you get these UNSC weapons, right? And those are the ones that I like. I understand them. They're effective. They're cool. They look nice. Like this AR in the picture, and of course the battle rifle, the big one that's really all you want to play with in the whole game is the battle rifle. And they made it kind of overpowered too, so there's like no reason to really use anything else, which is good. Well, not good, but it's my favorite weapon. And so here's my thing with these Halo games. I always try to play with the UNSC weapons all the time. And what happens is they run out of ammo really fast. That's just the way Halo is, right? And there's like no ammo stations around half the game, so you don't know anything to do. So you end up having to pick up Covenant. It's sort of fun, but it's also sort of annoying. I'm not sure where I stand on it. But I know they could use a lot of streamlining of weapons. They need to make me actually want to pick up a Covenant gun. Like I hate at the point every mission where I run out of my UNSC ammo as designed. And now I gotta pick up some Covenant ammo and guns. And on the one hand, it is kind of fun. I'll admit it's the Halo thing. But on the other hand, it's like boring. It's like those guns are so ugly and they're sort of boring. They're kind of like worse versions of There's very few of them that are like more effective than the UNSC weapons. Like there's the plasma carbine, and it's kind of like probably kind of like the battle rifle or the UNSC AR, but it's just worse, to my opinion. So like, what's the point of that? It doesn't fire straight. It fires kind of globby, and they fire kind of a little bit of a curve, like downward a little. I don't know. I don't know how to fix it as usual. My opinion is kind of wishy-washy. I don't have a clear... I would say reduce the number of total weapons that you have in the game, because there's like 50 now. Get rid of some of the old crap that's ugly and make the Covenant stuff and the Brute stuff more effective so I'll want to use it more. That's what I would say, you know. Easier said than done, but the whole Halo thing needs a lot of streamlining because, like I said, they're just keeping everything back from Halo 1. That's like 18 games worth of crap now. And then they just keep adding crap to it because you got to have something new. But anyways, on to Halo Infinite. It's the open world, and I can describe it. I don't know how many hours it took me. I'm terrible at judging things, but I'm taking a wild freaking guess at like 20 because I think I read it's supposed to be like 18, 20 hours somewhere. Like I said, I don't know why, but I'm just terrible at like trying to ascertain how many hours I've played a game. I don't know. Is it 40? Is it 5? I can't tell you. No, but I think it was maybe like 20, which is good. Alexa, turn on fan. Sorry, it's getting hot in here. I need a fan. So yeah, graphics. I'm already at 16 minutes. Damn it, and I don't want to go too long with this video. My kind of internal target was 30 minutes, but it's already I've already wasted so much time as usual. Graphics, I could say another hour about the graphics. They're good, but they're not where I want them to be at all. In one way, they're good, but in another way, let me go ahead and play the video, and I'll just loop it when it ends. The they're good, they're awesome in a way, but they're also they're clearly like last gen to me. To me, I was disappointed in this game from the beginning because to me it's like Microsoft had so much time, they have so much money, and like this is what they came up with graphically. But see, you gotta understand that decision had to have been made 5 years ago. It's 2022 or early. That decision had to be made in like 2016. They had to say, look, the next Halo, we're making it on our next gen console. It's not even close to out yet, and we're not making it on current gen. And we're not even going to have a current gen version. That's what they would have had to do. Because what they did for this is they made it for Xbox One S. And then they upscaled it for Xbox Series X. That's what they did, no matter what they say, you know. But now if they had made it ground up for the Xbox Series X, it could have been so much better graphically, you know. Because then they're working. Instead of just like taking a thing and like polishing it a little on the more powerful consoles, when it's made ground up for those more powerful consoles, it's much better graphics. And you know, Halo 3, I was always really disappointed with its graphics back in the day, and that was when Sony's always, their fanboys are always, the only thing they have is graphics. That's all they ever talk about. They talk about how power doesn't matter, then they just, oh, look how incredible Uncharted looks. Like half of their whole fanboyism is tied up in graphics. We got better graphics than you. That's all they care about, you know. But but yeah, I was always really disappointed in Halo 3 because 360 was more powerful than PS3, or at least they were tied. But my opinion, 360 was better. But Halo 3 looked bad in my opinion, and then Halo 4 came along like almost towards the tail end of that gen and looked amazing. Okay, but that was towards the end, so I'm figuring Halo Infinite 2, whatever, will hopefully look great and amazing. But Halo Infinite's not it, you know. It's Halo 3 this gen. It just doesn't look that great. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's times when playing, you're definitely going like, wow, that looks pretty cool. I mean, on Series X that I play on, of course, it's 4K, I'm sure, or some kind of upscaled 4K. You know, the draw distance is great. There's times where you like look at this stuff. It's all cool. So it's at the one hand better than people troll and say it looks ugly or whatever, and Craig the Brute and all that. The one hand, all that stuff's wrong, but on the other hand, it just doesn't look the way I want it to. When is it going to? I don't know. Next gen. I mean, you know, in 5 years when they come out with the next one. I mean, sad to say, and I wouldn't even count on that because, yeah, well, Halo 4 I think was 343. I'm trying to think who developed that. But yeah, so the graphics overall disappointing, but still kind of cool. But yeah, that was my biggest regret about the game is I wish that I don't even like 60 FPS. I mean, all these Sony tentpole games are 30 FPS. I think they're starting to do 60 FPS modes now. But all The Last of Us, at least last gen, Uncharted, all these things are 30 FPS, and the gaming community just eats them up, and on the other side of its mouth, they're like, oh, anything less than 60 FPS is trash. But on the other hand of the side of their mouth, they're like, oh, the latest 30 FPS Sony banger game of the year. You know, it's so hypocritical. Can't stand the gaming community. In my opinion, I would have gone for 30 FPS in like Series. I don't even like the idea of the Series S. I wish the Series S didn't exist. I have a video on that, but it does. So Series S and X only. You know, that's what I would have done, and I would have made this decision 6 years ago. This game would look incredible today because it would be built from the ground up for these consoles, but it's not, and that's that. Onto the game some more because I'm already at 21 minutes. So you have these FOBs, forward operating bases. You get a map, okay? After you start out like in a ship, and you go through like an, I don't know, 20-30 minute or whatever, like a linear level to start, and that's kind of a recurring theme. And so what you'll have, I think you'll open out after you play like an hour or whatever it is, watch some cutscenes. I don't even remember anymore. You get to the open world part, basically, which is like you're free to explore, but on your map you'll have like waypoints marked, and you can't see. There's nothing on all. You can see the ground, but you can't see any like anything, points of interest or anything. I guess it's like Ubisoft games, like in this respect, in that like you'll have like some forward operating bases marked, and when you go capture a forward operating base, which is nothing but like a platform with some enemies on it, you kill the enemies, and then you like go press X on a podium thing, and it'll say, oh, you captured this forward operating base. So that means you can travel to it in fast travel to it anytime you want, and it also kind of like opens up a lot of the terrain around you, in that you'll start seeing all the points of interest. And like the more, and there may be another FOB nearby, you capture that one, you'll see like more points. It kind of fills in with the FOBs. I think that's a Ubisoft thing where they have towers that kind of do that. Something like that. And then, so and what to do in the open world, and I do like this. I've been negative so far. I like the way this is structured. I think it's pretty neat. You have about like 8 or 10 basic things to do that'll be points of interest marked on your map and like labeled. They are mainly, there's something called Molnar Armory things, which basically you go to a spot and there'll be like a box on the ground. You press X on it and it'll give you a cosmetic for multiplayer. Like, I don't even know what the cosmetics are. They'll say something like, Mark 4 blue suit or whatever. And the cosmetic unlocked. I don't even know what half of them are. But they're cosmetics that apparently carry over to multiplayer, which I have dabbled in. So I did all of those. There's probably like 20 or 30 in the whole game, And then, but they're spread out over different sections of the map. And the map's kind of divided into mainly, I'd say, like thirds. Or maybe it's like 2 big halves, really. And then, like, you get to a point where you get to like the second half, and you get like the whole second half of this big map opened up. But you start off with just the first half, kind of like that. And then, okay, so the Molnar Armory things is put like MJOLNER. And then there's forward operating bases. I already mentioned that concept, a few of those. There's these purple levels that are, I call them dungeons. They're not dungeons, but to me they kind of are, and which are like big enemy bases, and they're kind of hard and they take a while. Not too hard, but they're above ground. So I think of a dungeon as being like below ground. Everything is above ground in this game, well, unless you're doing the linear levels, I guess, which kind of go into like buildings. But so you got those. I call them dungeons. There's not too many. They're big, and they're kind of like long, multi-layered, hard. They're not linear though. They're still on the open world map. Everything's like in one place. You're not going into linear corridors like you are in the story missions. You're still on the map for all of this, and that's awesome. The whole base is like a base in the world. There's no like inside of it. Everything's outside. Those are fun. The game is fun. The gameplay is really fun. There's a lot of those Halo moments where you're like, I think this is going to be a 40-minute video because I got so much to talk about. And I wasted all my time as always. So like, those Halo moments you have where you're like pinned down, you lost all your ammo, you're trying to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, literally. There's like a bunch of big threats in the enemy base, probably. You're thinking like, okay, I gotta neutralize this one because he's the biggest threat. Then I gotta attack this one, then this one. I gotta find the gun. I gotta get some decent ammo. Or I gotta get a decent gun and then find some. Those moments are so great, and it's definitely present in this game, and that's what makes Halo so good. There are definitely amazing moments where I'm taking out onto their base, and it's so fun minute to minute, and it's like I said, I'm pinned down. There's several hard enemy threats, like an elite on a ghost. Those are tough to take out sometimes. Another enemy vehicle behind that, a big skiff or whatever they call them, and then just a turret. Those are hard to take on in this game. All these things that you can't even. You gotta just take one problem at a time and just, practically just pray. And it's and the enemies will be pretty aggressive and come at you at times. So that is still there, and it's what makes Halo great, and I love it. And that's where the weapon system really shines. Like I said, you can lose all your good stuff, and you can just end up with just scrounging garbage off the ground, and you're so happy when you find something half decent, So that's all good, but so going back to the open world map, so you got the forward operating bases, the dungeons, as I call them, the purple things, which are optional. All this stuff is optional except the yellow story. You got the big yellow story missions, and Cortana will keep bugging you all the time. Basically, Cortana, I think it's supposed to be something different, but there's a whole lot of story in the game that I don't even really care about anymore. As far as the story, it's like the story in most video games, the story in Destiny. I just tuned it out a long time ago. It got really complicated a long time ago, and I don't care. I mean, I watch the cutscenes like anything else because I'm like, oh, cool, shiny lights. But I don't know what the hell's going on. But it's something about you have a new AI, not Cortana, because she died in the last game or something. Even though I played it, I don't remember. I mean, I vaguely remember her dying. That's about it. So I don't know. They made a copy of her, and it's like her, but it's not her or something, and it's stupid. You can see her picture over here, and she's kind of annoying, kind of cool, but kind of annoying almost. I think it's the same voice actress though, but it's like a new physical model in my opinion. I noticed they put a lot more clothes on her too. It's the Me Too era. So continuing on, where was I? Oh yeah, so the things to do in the open world. You also have these, then you have a bunch of collectibles to find, right? Which are mainly these audio logs. There's both UNSC audio logs and brute audio logs. Those are cool. Now, I approached it like I'm not going to be a completionist. I didn't care. The audio logs don't gain you anything. They're just story. So I didn't like actively seek them out too much. Now, I would explore most areas in the game to a decent amount. Try to check out every little back corridor and stuff. But I didn't go wild with it because I didn't want to. And it really worked out great. I felt like the game doesn't give me a FOMO feeling if I don't find certain things. Because the audio logs, they're just optional and they're just story crap and you just don't care. And they're also really well done. They're really fun to listen to. And one thing I really liked about them is when you get them, you play them. This is great, and like more games should do it. Maybe some do, but in most games, you find an audio log, right? And it either like forces you to sit there immobile and listen to it, which I hate because I don't care about your stupid lore. And then, or some games it'll it has you like you can listen to them separate or whatever later, and I'll never do that because I don't care about your stupid story. And then but this game, what it does is you play them. They're short. They're really well voice acted. They're really well done. There's some, this squad's, I don't know. They're intended to give you more story beats, I guess. But they're short. They're well done, and they play while you're walking around, continuing to play the game. They're short enough that it's not too big of an issue. So you do kind of have a mix of like the audio log playing, and if you go get in a firefight directly after, you'll have gun noises and stuff, but you can still hear the audio log well. It just kind of, it brings the ambient noise of the game down quite a bit. So I mean, it could be problematic. You'd think you might be annoyed. Oh, this audio log's playing over my gameplay or whatever. But it actually works really well, in my opinion. It makes you want to actually enjoy hitting the audio logs, and they're not annoying like they are in most games. Because you're getting like this nice little audio log to play, and you get to just keep playing the game. You know, it's really well done, in my opinion. More games should do that for their audio logs, because most games you don't care about the audio logs. You don't want to get the audio logs or whatever, unless you're a weirdo that cares about all the stupid story stuff they put in these games. That's basically just garbage, in my opinion. Padding. So there's audio logs. Like I said, those are optional, of course, and you just find them in the world. They're kind of hidden. Those are not marked on the map. Certain things are marked in the map, like most of the things, but not audio logs. And then there's something called Spartan Cores. I haven't even talked about the upgrade system, and I'm already at 31 minutes. You have an upgrade system, you have certain abilities. You start out with like a grappling hook, which is actually really fun. Like when I first saw the grappling hook, I was like, ugh, grappling hooks are like swords. They're for like 12-year-olds. I don't want them. Ick. But it's actually really like streamlined into the game and fun. You just have it, and you just use it. It's just natural and great in Halo Infinite. You can climb any rocks, any cliffs. You have to use it a lot. You can climb straight up a cliff with the thing, just about vertical, and it's great. You're like freaking Spider-Man. Seriously, it's pretty cool. And then you have like multiple other powers. You have 5 total. You have like a boost power kind of. And then you get like 5 upgrades, up to 5 upgrades for each one. Like the grappling hook, one of the upgrades is reduces cooldown. And none of them are like that, and I forget the other ones. Maybe one of them might give it like a 20% longer grappling range, because you can't just grapple anything that's too far away, obviously. So each one has a little upgrade like that. None of them I didn't pay too much attention. They're not too much game changers. Like, I'm trying to think if you could like really miss much if you went through the game without upgrading any of your powers, and I'm not sure that you would really. I think they probably try to walk that fine line where like you could do the game without upgrading any of your powers, but like they're also like good enough that you want to get the upgrades. You know, that's a tough line to walk. Your other powers, and you start off with 3 and then you get like 2 more later. The other powers are like you can throw down the foldable shield. It's a multiplayer. The shield in front of you that you can throw down, it's like an energy shield and you can shoot through it, but it blocks enemy shots. That's one of them. The grappling hook I already mentioned. What else? Oh, you get like a scanner, and all it does is like scan the surrounding world for enemies. So you're thinking it's really stupid, but it has one specific purpose, which is when you fight these invisible elites that come at you with the sword. You want to throw that thing down because it illuminates them. And it doesn't totally illuminate them. It kind of blinks on and off sometimes, and you get an upgrade that makes it illuminate them more often and have more range and different things like that. Those are all upgrades to it. But so it's pretty much completely useless that I know of, except for when you fight those invisible elites, which is just occasional. And the invisibility is like so strong in this game, you can barely see them without the help of that thing. So you really do need it. So yeah, that's what I found. It's very helpful at the least. You may not strictly need it, but so yeah, that's what it's for. The sensor thing. That's one of the systems. I've only done 3. What are the other 2? Can't even remember them right now. 2 more powers. Oh, the boost thing. I did mention that. That makes 4. I can't think of the 5th. The boost thing is just like you boost sideways a little ways. It's not very far. You can upgrade it a little bit. It probably does a little farther, a little faster. And it adds a little invisible thing at the end, where you turn invisible at the end. Which the invisibility doesn't seem as perfect as like Destiny invisibility, where the enemy completely stops aggroing you once you go invis. It's only invis for like about probably 5 seconds anyway. But yeah, I'm sure the boost is pretty good at higher levels, higher difficulty levels, and I find it pretty good overall for a lot of the stuff. Now it's kind of, you can only have one ability equipped at a time. That's annoying, I guess. And the whole system is like you press a certain direction on your D-pad to bring up either your grenade menu or your power menu. It's just annoying to me. So like, you could remember to like switch to the shield I think it's like right on the D-pad brings up the menu, and then each direction will bring up a different power. So you can press like right on the D-pad and then down to get the shield, right? And you can just remember that key code, but it also takes a certain amount of timing. Like you can't press them too fast and so on. It's just a little annoying, but it works, I guess. I think they could use some streamlining of that system. Bosses, there's cool bosses. For the most part, they're not too memorable, but it's cool. The story gets really whacked out at the end, and it's like Cortana going crazy. Hasn't that been the story in like the last 10 Halos? It's getting annoying now. Or Cortana's like losing her mind and saying all this acid trippy crap. You know, I'm tired of that. It reminds me of that Senua's Sacrifice game, right? Where she's like nuts and batty. It kind of is like that, except it's Cortana now. I could go on and on. I'm at 36 minutes. So the other things in the game, the Spartan Cores. That's how you upgrade your powers, and they're on the map. And again, they're just usually somewhere. Sometimes they're kind of hard to find, like in the side of a cliff or something. You can put a waypoint on anything. So you basically, but sometimes on the Spartan Cores, for example, the waypoint will just be like on top of a hill. So you're like, well, where the hell is the Spartan Core? It's not where the waypoint is. Well, that means there's like a entrance in the hill. It means it's in the middle of the hill, basically. So the waypoint has to go up through the hill. So to you, it looks like it's on top of the hill. It's a little annoying. I saw Justine on Twitter complaining about that, actually. She's like, how am I supposed to find these Spartan Cores when the waypoint is like completely wrong or something? I don't like her. But yeah, so that's not an issue really, because it's only on a few Spartan Cores. Most of them are like really easy to find. Plus, they give you too many. You only need like 5. I don't know how many. You probably need like 40 to fully upgrade all your stuff. Because some upgrade nodes take like 3. But you probably only need like 30 to upgrade all your stuff, and there's probably like 50 in the game. So there was a point where I had fully upgraded everything, and I just stopped collecting the Spartan Cores because I didn't need any more. They give you extras basically. What else? Spartan Cores. Oh, there's these things called targets too. Which are basically like enemies, and then they're bosses that you target, and they're in a little base. They're not nearly as involved as like the dungeons, as I call them. But you go and you kill a boss, and then you get his weapon, which is a upgraded of all the like Covenant weapons or brute weapons. So like, I remember one for the plasma carbine or whatever. You kill a certain boss to get this. Because it's his weapon. He carries this modified carbine or whatever. When you're reading about him, it'll say that. And then you get it. It'll be like literally in a weapon stand, kind of in the middle of the area he's in. After you kill him, you get it, and then you have an access available at your forward operating base. So now you can get the like enhanced Covenant carbine, and all that's pretty much freaking useless because whatever weapon you take from your fob, you're not going to have ammo for anyway, probably before long, So that kind of nerfs to me any of that stuff, What's the point of having these super cracked out, or these more cracked out? They're not super cracked out because they're not going to break the game. But these more cracked out weapons, and you can get those from the UNSC side too. Oh, and there's a whole system in the game called Valor. And again, these are very shallow systems. They're not complicated, and that's why I like it, because I easily understood everything. There's a system in the game called Valor, which is just like, there's a track at the forward operating base, kind of like a battle pass, and it has like weapons, and then it has like an upgraded version of the weapons sometimes. It has vehicles, and you just unlock things on that track. There's about like 30 things in there, I think. Like you have to unlock the Mongoose, I think is like the first thing, which is like a 4-wheeler you can drive around the world, because it's a big world, right? And then eventually you go up to the Wasp, is like one of the biggest things you upgrade, which is that way you can fly around the world. Game changer, open world. Now you can fly around it. That's awesome. And there's like, you unlock the battle rifle. Then you can unlock like a souped up version of the battle rifle, and it's usually just a little better. Like the battle rifle, it says like tuned for close quarters combat or something, and it just makes it a little better at like I guess I didn't even really notice that much different. I think it's the same at like 80% of its ranges, but then at like close range, it said something about more stopping power. So I'm guessing there's certain enemies in it that are like brutes and they rush you really hard. And by the way, those were really well done. I really liked them. And I'm guessing it'll kind of stop those better, because it mentioned more stopping power. I really like those. In every game, there's generally some kind of enemy type that's like will rush you, so that you need some kind of close quarters weapon. And this is Halo's version, but they're really well done in my opinion, because they really changed the calculus of the battle. It's these brutes that sometimes show up and they just rush you, and they run so fast and they run right at you. And they're really aggressive, and so it immediately changes the calculus. So you can't just sit back there plinking all the time, although most of the time you can. You got to stop these guys. They usually come in 2 or 3. You got to stop these guys fast. Like they run so fast, if you throw a grenade at them, you don't stick it to them. You're usually 5 meters past the grenade, if not more, by the time it blows up. You got to throw the grenade way in front of them if it's gonna actually be in their vicinity when they get there. So yeah, you got to see those guys coming, or really it really makes the shotgun useful. There's a shotgun in the game, and that's really useful for those guys. Because if it weren't for those guys, you could mostly go long range stuff all the time, and just plink, plink, plink. Those guys are really well done. There's a variation of that type of rushing enemy in every game, but they're usually some sort of really wimpy thing, like the Thralls in Destiny would be a good example, or the Flood in past Halos, I guess. They're usually wimpy, and these are really aggressive, fast, and pretty powerful. So I really enjoyed those guys because they're really fast. Like I said, they run at you, full tilt run. So they really change the calculus, and they make the shotgun useful, because it's really the best weapon to take them on, or some sort of close range weapon. So those are great. Enjoyed those rushing brutes. Yeah, so I don't have a whole lot else to say. I wanted to talk about the hunters. I was reading on Twitter, somebody was bitching that people are saying they're too hard. No, they're not too hard. They're just about perfect. I read a comment in Air, and I totally agree. They're much harder to get behind now, it seems, which is the way you used to be able to most take. But you can still tack them on from the front with 3 or 4 different weapons. And I didn't read anything about this game, so I figured out myself that you want there's 3 or 4 different weapons that you want to take them on from the front with. Well, you can kind of get behind them too, but it's hard, just like in past games. But you can shoot them with a rocket launcher head on, it'll do good damage. You can shoot them with the needler and it'll do good damage. That's a secret trick almost, because the needler, it builds up those needles when you shoot them, and then it blows up. The needles will home on them. I think they home on its weak spot, and then the explosion will do a good amount of damage. If you can stick them with any kind of sticky grenade or grenade period, anything that does splash damage, where it's blowing up all around those things and doing damage in the back, even though you're hitting the armor. There's a couple of brute weapons that work. There's something called the Ravager that shoots big gobs of plasma. That works because the big gobs of plasma go everywhere and do a lot of damage to it. So there's plenty of weapons you can take those hunters on. They're a lot of fun. They're hard but fun, just like past games. Anyways, so then after you do all that open world stuff, then it goes back into a 3, 4, 5 more hours of linear end levels. And now that's great in concept, but again, why they didn't push the graphics and push some cooler environments in the linear levels is beyond me. They're fine, but again, they're just all boring blue corridors for the most part. And and then I thought that, honestly, when I thought I was to the end of the game, then it went to another section. It took another hour or so. There's an end boss, spoilers, and then there's another end boss, in 2 hours of gameplay later. They kind of double fake you or something. But overall, I like this game. Talking about it's made me remember that it's fun. I wanted to point out, there's one point, there was an enemy brute. And he's kind of the main bad guy of the game. I don't even remember his name anymore. I remember Atriox is the bad guy brute from the last game or whatever. It's also kind of in this game in flashbacks or something. Escharum, that's the big bad guy in this game. Ajax is a much more memorable name. But Escharum is pretty awesome character, and I really liked how they did something subtle at the end. They made it where Escharum is like not a bad guy. You know, he's an honorable. Master Chief respects him as a soldier. He does this little talk at the end a little bit. Like Escharum was just trying to do what he thought was right, you know. And Master Chief says, just like I do. And it doesn't beat you over the head or anything. Just the way they handled it was really subtle and really great. I really loved that part. 90% of the story I don't give a crap about, but I thought that was really neat. We need more stuff like that. Where you realize Escharum, like Master Chief said, he was just a soldier. He was just doing what he hoped, I think how he put it, was right, you know. And I really like the brutes. They're very physically imposing. The generals, just, you know, the big baddies, they're so huge. I think Destiny Cabal was modeled after them, but they're much cooler than Cabal. Anyway, so this 45 minutes on this review. I hope you liked it. Overall, you know, I'm torn in the game. There's aspects I liked. There's aspects that were annoying. I didn't even mention how most of the vehicles I feel like are useless because a lot of the objectives are up on cliffs. So you can't drive up there. So what's the point? And like I always got lost in the roads. I don't know what I'm doing on the roads. So, and they flip over easy, so you're always flipping. Most of the game I find it better to just walk. And then when you finally get the airship, it kind of travels slow. It's not a panacea. It's good, but it travels really slow. It's kind of more of a chopper. It's supposed to be like a VTOL, but it's kind of like half chopper. It's really slow traveling around the world. Not really slow, but kind of slow for a freaking airplane. And then the Banshees always attack you in the air. Not always, but a lot when you're in the air with it. I guess they didn't want you to just have free reign of the sky or something, but it's annoying. You got to fight these Banshees, and this Wasp ship you get is not very armored. It doesn't take too much to kill it. Granted, okay, you know, I know that they wanted to make things balanced, but I wish there was no Banshees to fight in the air because it's annoying, and I wish that airship traveled faster. And like I said, most of the ground vehicles I see no use for because, you know, you can just walk to where you're going faster, given that you're probably going to come across hills and cliffs and ditches and stuff that mess your vehicles up, unless you keep looking at the map and following the roads to some destinations, not all. But that was too annoying for me. But anyway, so yeah, that's my review of Halo. I don't know. I guess I want to give it like a 1 to 10 score. Like I said, I've actually changed a lot. Like before this video, I had mostly negative thoughts, but like looking at this thing, I'm thinking back how fun it was. So I don't know. There's good and bad. I'd probably put it at a... man, I want to put it like a 7.5, but I don't want to do a 0.5 because I'm vacillating between like a 7 and an 8. I'm going to give it a 7. So that's, and remember, I grade hard though. Like IGN 7 is like below average. For me, a 7 is like good. So anyways, that's where I'd put it.